Shabbat Shalom. During the holidays, we set our goal as taking a cheshbon nefesh, an accounting, we say, a looking at our soul. After the holidays, especially the day after Yom Kippur, it's time to do cheshbon hachag, which is a term I entirely made up, of an accounting of the holiday. And I was thinking today especially, we spend a whole month getting ready for the holidays, then we have them, and it's like, oh, they're done. We just close the door. We should take a day and really think if we met the goals that we wanted to meet. And by that, I do not mean, did the rabbi land his jokes and did the cantor hit the high notes? He didn't, and she did. But rather, what is it that we're really, at least in my mind, how do we know if we got what we needed out of the holidays? So here are my 5 criteria. Did you feel that in the areas where you had comfort, that you were afflicted, and the areas where you were not, that you were made comfortable? Comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable is a goal that was given to us in rabbinical school as a message for what we are to do to you. But the truth is, none of this is what we do to you. This is what you experience, and we do our best to try to facilitate it. So, for me, I found this year in particular, Misha Berach, Birkat HaGomel, the 2 prayers that we say, one about the healing, which we always say on Shabbat, but Gomel we've started to say during the holidays as saying thank you for those who survived something. This year in particular, that was comforting, to put the spotlight on those who've survived, because we've all survived in some way. And I was uncomfortable. I mentioned it during the services. Uncomfortable during Unatana Tokef, as it touched on points that usually seem so abstract, who lives and who dies. This year felt so real. And I was uncomfortable knowing that we were gathering in ways we didn't want to be gathering. Again, something we take for granted. You take for granted you can just show up and be in a crowd, be at Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. This year, so much of our decisions were around where am I going to be? How's it going to feel? Am I going to be safe? It was so uncomfortable. We were afflicted that way. Perhaps the benefit is we won't take that for granted any longer. The second point to judge ourselves on: did we pivot enough? Do you feel different today, 10, 11 days after Rosh Hashanah, than you did those 10, 11, 12 days ago? It doesn't have to be a huge shift, but did you move a little bit? We could ask, were you moved? Were you moved by the music? Were you moved by the words of the prayers? I read something in preparation for the holidays. It was a commentary on the prayer that the cantor sings so passionately, Ya'aleh V'Yavo, which I honestly had never paid much attention to other than the beauty of the music. It's a powerful, we won't ask her to sing it right now, but it's a powerful, dramatic tune that we have. But listen to the words this year. Let our needs rise up with the darkness. May our voices soar at nightfall. Let our suffering ascend at twilight. May there be refuge as darkness surrounds us. These ideas of Ya'aleh, V'Yavo, may certain things rise up this year, and may we welcome them in, may they enter. This year, that made me pivot. Can we pivot towards those things? Number 3, can we look at, it's a 4-part one. Can we look at the year behind us, the year ahead of us? Can we look inside and can we look outside? This has become, without intention, I would say, this has become my formula for sermons. It, to some degree, follows the great saying by Hillel, if I'm only for myself, what am I? If I'm not for myself, who am I? If not now, when? But it sort of reverses it. So here's how I think of it. If not now, what happened last year? How do we assess last year on Erev Rosh Hashanah? I talked about how do we not become too obsessed with our scars. That was last year. And when? What do we do now? On Rosh Hashanah morning, I talked about coming home. If I am only for myself, that was Yom Kippur, where we talked about Israel. It was external, something outside of us, something far away. How do we care about other people, not being for ourselves? And if I am not for myself, that was Kol Nidre. How do we look at our pain? How do we look at our suffering? How do we take care of ourselves? I don't know if those sermons landed for you. It's not only in the sermon that we should get those 4 qualities. You could have done any number of things over these last 10 days. But if you didn't experience that sense of looking internally and externally, that sense of looking back at the year and looking ahead at the year to come, I would say you still have time to figure that out. Number 4, was it countercultural? In today's world, we are filled with fear and separation. Were the holidays, did they give you a sense of hope and connection? Judaism isn't entirely countercultural, but I find that our goal should often be not to have Judaism reflect what is out there in the world directly, but rather respond to it. So I always find that Judaism should be somewhat countercultural. We should look for those countercultural moments. So were the holidays a voice of hope and connection during a time of fear and separation? For me, I found it when we had our kids here for our family services and our little wee sings, because as kids are, they're so resilient. Adults tend to notice everything that's different, but kids show up, and as they've always done during services, they're running around the parking lot. It was a great sense of their resilience, their sense of hope, how connected they are to each other, to us, that they just fall right into place and play their part so naturally. And the last criteria for me is peoplehood. This one, perhaps the easiest to notice. Did you have the food that we have at this time of year? Did you hear the sounds of the holidays, the sound of the shofar, the sound of Avinu Malkeinu? Perhaps there are other sounds. I know I'm often touched by the seasons. Did you go outside and did it smell like the holidays, like fall is coming? Did you have the memories that you wanted to have? See the faces of those who first introduced you to Judaism, whether that was your parents at a young age or whether that was a friend when you were an adult? And did you experience the traditions, whatever those traditions are for you? So that's my assessment. I'm hoping on Sunday to put this on Facebook in some sort of a Google Doc. Let people comment, not on what happened in services. I hope you don't look at it that way, because I don't think services are the entirety of our holidays. But did you find that sometime during the holidays, the afflicted were comforted, those who were too comfortable were afflicted, that we moved somewhere, we pivoted a little bit, we are different now than we were 2 weeks ago? Did we look behind us, ahead of us, internally, externally? Did we notice something that was countercultural that spoke to us in this moment, at this time? And did we feel a connection to our people through food and sounds and memories and traditions? Did we feel Jewish at this very Jewish time of year? I hope that you did. Whatever grade you give yourself, I hope you'll share with us the ways in which we made that easier for you, the ways in which perhaps we made it more difficult for you. But most importantly, I hope we can all take this time, if it didn't happen over these last 10 days, to achieve the High Holy Days, to take a time as our tradition asks us, and to truly make a shift in our life every year so that we are facing the right direction as we start this year anew. And then we sit in our sukkahs and enjoy each other's company, look up at the stars, enjoy the fall colors as they change, and begin to dance with the Torah on Simchat Torah just a few weeks away now. We hope you'll join us for those moments, and we hope that this year can once again be a healthier year, a happier year, a year when we get to come together more often than we did in the previous months. Shabbat Shalom.